Um, First, I'd like to tell you a little about myself, about my job at the World Trade Center. I started off as a window washing supervisor. I had about 23 employees with me, under the window washing. You know, it was a good atmosphere. Everybody was like, you know, upbeat. It was a great place to be, you know. Working in the World Trade Center, it was like none other. You just could, you know, you just stand there sometimes and you're just in awe. It was just an amazing place to be. I then got promoted to the Path and Concourse and World Trade 4 and 5, which then entitled more duties. I still maintained the window washing, and I then had more duties as far as, you know, making sure those areas were up to par and dealing with the tenants there. And you kind of build a relationship with your fellow workers and the people that, you know, that worked in the building. After another period of time, I then got another promotion to dispatcher / project manager, and that entitled a whole different, you know, type of field. It was like then I was in charge of the whole, basically day-to-day operation of the maintenance workers in a whole nutshell. There was about more than 120 workers that were under me, which was, you know, very, very, like, it was honorable because most of the people there, could have been my father or my grandfather. You know, I was about 23, 24 at the time, so like to be looked at by like so many people that were older than me and like treated with respect, it was great. And you kind of, you know, you built a relationship with these people, and you know, they were more than just co-workers. You know, you spending time with them day in and day out, even some weekends, you know, when you worked. It was, you know, it was really like, you know, it was very, very great place to be. I wouldn't trade it with anything. And one of the relationships that I developed was with William Rodriguez, who was in charge of cleaning all the staircases from top to bottom. You know, it's not an easy job. You know, you need a lot of, you know, healthy legs to do it. He was a very, you know, he was just somebody that, you know, caught my attention, was very, you know, a very honorable and very good person to be around. And we developed a great relationship as far as, you know, with other workers as well. But just, you know, he was someone special that, you know, like that I held close to my heart. And he, you know, we had like good times, you know, we'd have our own little room, like he had his own little room set up there, and, you know, we would hang out and talk, and, you know, you get to see like the type of person that somebody is, and he was, you know, a very, you know, honorable person. I then basically you know, continued to go in, day out, working, you know, and you know, which led up to 9/11. Which was a day that, you know, what could you say? It was very horrible. You know, starting off, the day was, you know, it was a beautiful day. It was not a cloud in the sky. You know, it was, you know, everything was, you know, nothing like as far as like any like trouble around. It was just a normal day. I got in about like 6:30. Like that was the time I would start my day off, and basically dispatched the workout, got things going. Then, you know, around like 8 o'clock, 8:30, it starts to like slow down a little bit, and then Willie came in. Willie actually called me and said, you know, he was going to be late, you know, he wasn't going to come in. I said, no, you have to come in here because, you know, this has to get done. I was like, and I'm not, you know, letting anybody else do it besides you. So he was like, okay, all right, I'll do it for you. So he came in. We then, you know, as he came in, and he came into my office. Like most of the work was out and done, and you know, I was like ready to unwind a little bit, and you know, we were just there talking about, you know, the day, what I needed done and whatnot, and that's when, you know, we heard just a loud explosion, like massive explosion. It just knocked us like off our feet. It was just like unbelievable. Right when that happened, I was like, that's a bomb. I was like, what the hell was that? He's like, you know, he's like, all right, stand under the door. He had me, you know, like I was standing up, and he was more, I guess, sitting like more in the back of the room. And he was like, stand by underneath the door, because at the time, all the ceiling tile and everything just came down on top of us, and there was smoke filled with like, you know, everything. Just like people then started running towards us and screaming. About like a good 15 people, like some coworkers, some people who were just down there in the B1 level on the basement floor. And it was just like, you know, hysteria, just like, you know, like smoke and everybody like screaming, and you know, it was crazy. So we were like trying to figure out what was going on. When that happened, then another explosion happened, and it was just like, boom, like, you know, I'm just like, wow, what's going on? Like, again, we got like knocked away, and like, what's going on here? You know, and it literally sounded like it was just like, not particularly like a grenade, like people setting off grenades, but it was like, picture like just like multiple grenades just going off, just like bam, bam, boom. And you know, that's what I thought. I was like, is there somebody in here like blowing up the place? It's like, you know, it was wild, you know. And you know, basically then all the workers and everybody who were in the area then ran into my office, and you know, we greeted them. And you know, William, I wasn't as calm as William was. William was, you know, more of the calm person. I was like, you know, more, you know, a little like, you know, shaky about it. I didn't know what was going on, and you know, he was like trying to calm everybody together and getting everybody like, you know, all right, we got to get out of here. This is what we got to do. And as we were doing this, a man who I just found out his name yesterday, I didn't even know his name up until this day. His name, I think, was Felipe. He came into our room, into our office, and it was just like everybody just was like in dead silence. And he was just like, he came in and he was just covered with blood, and his skin was like peeling off his arms, his face. Like, I don't know the extent of the burns and whatever, but it was just like, wow. We were just like, so we were asking him, are you okay? You okay? And the man was just like shaking and in shock. And it was like, you know, we just knew that, you know, we had to get this man out of here as much as us ourselves. Now, usually I have a radio with me that day. You know, every day I usually have a radio to get in touch with, you know, other coworkers and whatnot. And that one particular day I didn't. You know, it was just so how it would be, like, you know, so I didn't know what was going on with anybody else. I didn't know what was going on in the building. All you heard was just, you know, the sirens and like, you know, just like everybody screaming. So you kind of like, you know, was, and plus the phone also was out. So you didn't, it was like no communication with anybody. So we were basically down there to fend for ourselves. We then grabbed, well, William actually, and another fellow worker grabbed like a tarp or like a kind of a rug that we held in storage, and wrapped it around the man, the guy Felipe, who was covered with, you know, blood, and it was just, you know, he was just messed up bad. And we kind of grabbed him and carried him out to the loading dock area, where we were figuring how to get out, because there's a way out to the lobby and then there's a way out through the street. And the way that we tried going through the lobby first, William and the other men, you know, tried to go that way, and it was just too much smoke, and it was just, you know, there's no way you could go out that way. At this time, we're also hearing multiple explosions going on. So we just, and plus we're like, we don't know where to go because we don't have any communication with anybody else. So we're like, should we go this way? Should we go that way? And it was just like, all right, we finally came to a conclusion, and we took the guy out through the ramp of the loading dock, which led out into the street. We carried him out. We placed him with an ambulance. He like was in total shock, and you know, we felt good that all right, now he's in the care of somebody that could help him. We then placed him down, and then that's when like just everything, like now I'm outside the building now, and that's when everything just like hit me. It was just like, you know, I didn't even turn around and see the building yet. I just like looked ahead and just saw people's faces, and they were just like staring up and just like just staring in like an amazement. I then turn around and I look up, and you just see a huge gash through the window, like it was just like somebody took a Ginsu knife and just sliced it in half. It was just like amazing. A huge hole, and you know, just people like screaming who are outside, like, oh my God, and I didn't realize why. And then, you know, this was a tough thing for me, but you see people falling from the windows. Like, you just see people just coming down, and you're like, oh my God, is that a body? I mean, like, it was just like, you know, you just couldn't describe it, like, you know. And I still have visions of, you know, people, like, I was personally, like, you know, very close to seeing, like, I could even see what the people were wearing. That's how close I was to them, and it was just something you just had to turn away from. I mean, you just like saw just like one, two just come down, and it was just, you know, a terrible sight. After that, I just, you know, focused my attention away from that, because I just really couldn't take any more of looking at it. And me and William were like, all right, let's get the firemen who were trying to get through were being blocked off, because the traffic then stopped. So we were trying to get the people to move and help these firemen get through. And we then like had our backs to the building, and then that's when the second plane came through and just boom, you just heard like a huge explosion, and you turn over and there's a fireball coming right over you like this, like, and the heat was just like extreme, and we just fell right through the floor, like, you know, and you basically, like, I fell down, and then I looked up, I see the fire coming over me and debris and everything, and as I look up, you see people just take off, like, down the block, just running, like, at full speed. And, you know, they were just like, you know, it was like out of the movie Godzilla, like how you see, like, people running when Godzilla's coming, like, you know, that's basically how it was. People just, like, pushing people and just running, and, you know, I then, like, was like, you know, I gotta, you know, look for my workers and whatnot. So William was like, let's go back into the building. I said, no. I said, that's like, you know, that's crazy. I said, that building looks like it's, it doesn't look like a safe place to be. I was like, let's stay out here, gather what we could do, and, you know, get everybody safe out here. He's like, no, I'm going in. I said, all right, you know, go ahead, you know, do what you feel you have to do. I said, I'm going to get everybody together and organized out here. And that was the last time I actually seen him for about up until 6 years. And I then seen him on TV later, but that, like, physically in front of me, that was the first time I last see him. I know he ran right into the building. And then, you know, I was then looking for, like, some of my personal close friends outside, making sure they were okay. And I, like, as I was doing that, I would see different people I was working with, and I was like, all right, go to this certain block, let's meet up, everybody, let's meet up, and so on. Now, trying to find certain individuals is kind of hard. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, because it's just like people running everywhere, and, you know, you couldn't really see, you know, like it was just so much confusion going on. So I then, like, focused my attention. I was like, you know what, I then thought about my family. I was like, you know what, I really have to call my parents. I was like, but now the cell phones don't work. So I was like walking, and I finally ran up into like a couple blocks down into a deli. Who then, I said, you know, and I had, like, debris on me, and I was like, listen, I was just in the building. I said, I want to get in touch with my family. My cell phone don't work. And they were kind enough to let me, you know, call my dad. And I spoke to my dad on the phone, and it was just like, you know, like, wow, you know, like, it was just like, I was just happy to be alive and hear his voice. You know, and I got off the phone with my dad, and, you know, a couple of time has elapsed, and now I'm like gathering people and, you know, telling them, let's go, you know, let's meet here. As I start walking back towards the building, now I was far enough away. It wasn't like I was right up at the building, but I was far enough away to, you know, to see and hear what was going on. And as I was walking closer towards the building, that's when you just heard, like, the building just crumble. You just heard, like, firecrackers, like, bap, 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 and, like, just like a mini earthquake. Like, it was just like it was like crazy, you know, like, you just were, like, shaking. I then, like, did with what pretty much mostly everybody did, was just run the opposite way of the debris coming at you. I made it. I was fortunate enough to make it not get covered by the smoke and the debris. I was, like, fortunate enough for that. So, you know, but speaking to other people, that was just like, you know, it was just like a terrible experience from them who went through that, just like the soot in your mouth, and, you know, the being covered, and you not knowing where you are, just like total silence, just like hearing from them. I mean, like, it was just like, you know, I couldn't believe, like, that, you know, that they had to go through that. But then after that happened, I then ran into a fellow coworker, and he was like, you know, I have my car here, and I was like, you know, I was like, do you mind, like, you know, let's try and search around, look for people, and you know, get people together that are still walking around. We then did that, and there was just no, you know, we didn't find anybody. So it was getting late, and he's like, all right, I have to go, you know, I have to pick up my daughter at school, and he's like, I'll drop you off where you want. So I then went with him that day, and he drove me into the Bronx, that's where he lived, but I lived in Queens at the time. So I said, just take me there, wherever you have to go. I mean, you couldn't even move. I mean, there's just, like, traffic everywhere. We basically sat there for, like, hours on end, and it was just like, you know, just like everybody was just besides themselves the whole day, not realizing, you know, what just happened. It was just like, you know, what was really going on. And, you know, basically, he then took me into the Bronx. I then was able enough to call my mother from a payphone, and my aunt just happened to be in the Bronx that day, and she then took me home. And, you know, like, as we were going over the bridge, it was like I'm not sure, it was either the Whitestone or the Triborough, I'm not sure, but you kind of looked out into the city. You could see the city to the right side, and it was just like, you know, the buildings weren't there anymore. It was just like, all you just saw was just smoke. It was just like, and, you know, I was just like lost it, you know. I was just like, unbelievable. I was like, you know, I didn't know how to react. I was just like, you know. I then got home. It was about almost nightfall. I then got home. First time seeing my family. All my neighbors were out. They all knew I was in the building. and they were just like, you know, like just like it was just like the best feeling ever, just to see my family again. You know, it was just like, wow, you know. After that, I then went inside, and I just, you know, I just wanted to be by myself for a little while. I then turned on the TV, and after seeing, like, you know, basically when I think it was about when, maybe a half hour after, then I seen, like, I turned on the TV, and that's when World Trade Center 7 fell. You just saw that. I was like, wow. I was like, what is going on here? You know, and then moments after that, I then saw Willie on TV, like, covered in, like, I think, like, I don't know if he had, like, a fireman's jacket on, but he had, like, some type of jacket, and like just covered in smoke, and he was like saying how he ran into the building, and he opened up all the doors and this and that, and I was like, wow. I was like, first of all, I was just happy that he was alive, and second of all, it was just like, wow. I was like, he really like saved a lot of lives in that. He did it like, it was like a courageous thing. After that, then basically I was then called by my company the day after, and they were like, well, look, you know, you have to go in and you have to go, you know, back down there. And I was like, wow. I was like, you know, it just happened. I'm like, you know, how do you expect me to go back down? They were like, no, you have to go back. This is your job. You have to do cleanup. You have to talk to the families, and this is what you have to do. So I said, you know what, fine. You know, this is, I felt like it was my responsibility. I said, fine, you know. So I went back to actually then we went to a hall just like this, set up by the company, and they, you know, had all the workers meet and get together, and it was just like great to see everybody who made it out. But like, you know, you just couldn't help but like seeing everybody on TV that you knew that didn't, and just constantly thinking about them, and you know, it was just like, excuse me, it just, you know, that was just like everybody's, you know, did you see this one? Did you hear from this one? Did you hear from that one? How's this, you know? And that's like basically what that was about. I then got told that, all right, tomorrow go back down to ground zero because you have to do cleanup. I said, all right, you know, I didn't want to. I made it be known. I said, I don't really feel comfortable going down there yet. I said, there's still a lot of emotional things that I'm going through, but I'll do it to help. You know, that's what I wanted to do. So I then went down there, and like they basically cut off, like blocked off, like from Canal Street all the way down to the water. So like, I don't know like the equivalent how I could say it, but it was many blocks. And I parked my car. It was late at night. Like I got there around 4 in the morning, and it was just like from a place where just like thousands and thousands of people just walking to like nobody on the street. I mean, granted it was 4 o'clock in the morning, but I mean there was like nobody in the street. It was like, so you start walking up Canal, and you just see military people like just with like it was like a war. Like it was just military people with guns, and you know, with the machine guns, and I'm like, wow, I'm in a war zone. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, you know, there was like, that was all. I was just military, blocked off from there on, and all the stores were closed. And as you start walking, then you start seeing the smoke and the soot on the floor. The building's covered with the soot, and it was just like a really eerie feeling. And as you get closer now, you start like a smell just comes around you. Like you just start smelling, and it's like, it kind of smelled like burning. It smelled like burning flesh, basically. It was just like the smell of burning flesh, just like eerie smell. So like a smell that I'll always like remember. Like just like if I, you know, just get a whiff of something, it just like takes me back to that. It's just like wow. I then got to a meeting point where they had set up on West. I believe it was like West Broadway. I'm not sure, but like in that area where other rescue helpers from, like actually people from Texas, I recall, were actually there. People from Dallas, and we were there to work with them and get things done. Now you could just like see, like it was just like not a safe place to be. We were not given any masks. We were not given anything to help us. We were just told, just go there, do what you have to do, and basically that's what we did. No questions asked, because it was for the good of people, you know. And basically what you saw, like when I got to the actual site, it was just like, wow, it was just like, it looked like actually somebody just came and took a bomb and just dropped it on the buildings. It was like nothing there but just scrap metal and, you know, the skeleton of the building, and just like, you know, people like digging through rubble, and, you know, actual body bags being, you know, carried out. And I mean, it was just like disgusting. It was terrible. And like just to be there, it was just like, you know, a horrible experience. But you gotta get yourself together and just, you know, just do it. And so basically, you know, I worked down there day and night working under like with these people, and with no, you know, basically no protection, nothing. And we just, you know, that's basically what we were told. Just, it's fine, just work there. I then would continue to work there for about a month or so, and then that's when I was told that by my company that they would not be needing me anymore. So there was no place to work, and you know the buildings weren't there, so they had to let you go. And I was just like, wow. I was like, you know, it's like how could, you know, like I was just beside myself, you know. So and then, you know, took some time off. I looked at things, and like that's when things just hit me. It's like, you know, I don't mean to. Oh, I'm sorry. Like this, I didn't mean to pass this out. Like we also, from the company before they let me go, I then visited with the families of like they were like, you know, go see the families of people, and go talk to them. And they basically gave us a check to give them like their last paycheck, and it was like, here's like, you know, here's their paycheck. Just go visit their house, you know, and just, you know, what do you want me to say? You know, I mean, like here's your. You know, this is who the people. I mean to confuse you. This is who the people who were missing, that you know that were presumed, you know, missing or dead at the time. And you know, I went with another fellow worker, who we went together and we went to visit these families, and they were just like, just beside, you know, just sitting there and like in shock. And you know, they would ask you like, where are they? And like, I'm like, you know, what could you possibly say to them? It's just like, you know, I'm sorry. You know, like that's all you could say to them. It's like, I'm sorry. And you know, it was just terrible. Like, you know, they were just like, you know, just torn. It was just a, you know, you really feel for these people. And I got to know these people on a day-to-day. I didn't know their families, so I got to know these people on a day-to-day basis, and they were just like, they were great. They were just like, you know, good, hardworking, great people. And like, you know, now to see their families, it was just like, you know, total devastation. And that's when like the guilt set in, and like, you know, because I was in charge of where they went, where they were supposed to be that day. And I was just like, well, what if they weren't here? What if they weren't there? Like, you know, and that just like put me into like a total depression. Like I just didn't want to be around anybody. I was just like kind of like blame myself. And, you know, it was just like a tough thing to deal with. And with that, then the post-traumatic stress set in. And now you got to understand, like where I live in Queens is right by Kennedy Airport. It's right by the airport. So planes are constantly flying over your house all the time. So there'd be days where I would just be like sitting in my bed and, you know, hearing, like sleeping and being woken up out of a dead sleep and just like hearing that same noise and just like running out of my house, literally, like, you know, just to see like if everything was all right. Like, 'cause it was just like, you know, and that happened occasionally, you know, on a random basis, just like, you know, constant reminders and, you know, constantly seeing it on the TV and, you know, and then being let go by my company. It was just like, you know, wow, you know, it's just like I couldn't believe, you know, how my life just changed in such a short time. I then stayed in contact with some of the families, and you know, continued to talk to them, and talking to Willie, and then basically I then knew Willie was then, you know, doing like speeches on his own, and he was doing his own agenda. And I also knew there was like an investigation going on. And now people might ask, well, why now am I finally speaking about this and whatnot? And basically I kind of was like hopeful that the truth would come out about what happened, and you know, finally at the end of it we would know like what was the cause of like the buildings collapsing, the hijacking, and you know, just like I wanted the truth. You know, I felt like I was a victim. I wanted the truth, and I didn't get it. You know, I was just left there to be like, well, this is how it is. So time elapsed, and I lost contact with Willie, but I kind of like, you know, was, you know, thinking about him. I knew like he was doing his speeches and whatnot, and people I would talk to would not, you know how to get in touch with him, which led us to like this the last time that I did see him. He then got my number through a mutual friend, and he called me, and I was just like, he's like, you know, this is, I'm like, no, he's like, it's Willie. I said, get out of here. I said, how are you? I said, you know, I was like, where have you been? What have you been up to? He's like, you know, I want you to come meet with me. I want to see you, and you know, there's stuff we have to talk about. I said, great. I said, you know, I'm all for it. We then met we then, he told me what he was doing, and I said, yeah, I said, I'll help you in your cause, because, I was there with you. I saw what happened, the horror that went on, and it was just, I just wanted to know why, like, what was the cause of this, like, and I felt like I wasn't getting the answers from the right people. So then, we then met. I met him in Manhattan. We had I think you'll see it on the video later, if you haven't seen it already, of us hugging and embracing, and it was just like a great moment, to finally see him again, and which led us to this day and me being here, I guess like what we've been told and what they want us to believe, it's like, here it is, just believe it. And I guess most of the people out there are just like, okay, fine, I'll accept that. But I'm glad that there's still people that aren't, that like yourselves and like myself, that just, that aren't satisfied, that aren't satisfied with the answers that we got. And what doesn't matter what they say. It matters how we feel in our heart and what our gut feeling. That's what counts. And usually with your gut feeling, that's what you have to go with. And, I just want to say, thank you for having me here. Thank you for letting me tell my side, of what happened and the story. And, I hope I made, some sense to you. And I just hope we keep, fighting for the truth and finally get to the bottom of this. And then one day we'll know what really happened. So thank you for allowing me to be here.